New information is now coming out about the big explosion in Iran the other day. Have a look.
בעצם הפיצוץ אירע בנמל שהיד רג'אי, אותו נמל שיחידת 190, יחידת העברות האמל"ח של משמרות המהפכה, פועלת ללא הפסקה. לרוב הם מאחסנים את כל החומרים שמגיעים ממדינות אחרות במחסנים של משמרות המהפכה. הפעם מדובר בחומרים מסוכנים, לייצור דלק לפרויקט הטילים האיראני, אותם חומרים שהגיעו מסין.
Before we go on, make sure to go into the description of this video below and download the free ebook that is available there. That was Dror Balazadeh. He is the lead correspondent for Channel 14 News covering Iran. And he tells us in this clip that the material that exploded was material that is used for military purposes. Now, in particular, the material we're talking about is called sodium perchlorate. And in February, there was a report in CNN that 2 shipping vessels carrying 1,000 tons each of this chemical docked in the Bandar Abbas port. Now, the Bandar Abbas port is a very large port with a bunch of smaller ports that are part of it. And the port where this explosion took place, as we were just told in that clip by Dror Balazadeh, is called the Shahid Rajaei port. And the Shahid Rajaei port is controlled by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is the military arm of the Iranian Islamic regime. So the explosion actually took place in an area that is a military port used for weaponry. When the Chinese say that they're shipping this stuff and this is a substance that's dual use, meaning it could also be used for non-military purposes.
For peaceful purposes.
We know that this material is critical to the Iranian ballistic missile program. But then Dror Balazadeh went on to explain where exactly this material was held. Have a look.
הפעם איפה הם יגרו את אותם חומרים? אז בעצם יחידת 190 שמה את כל החומרים במחסן של חברת ספנות שקוראים לה סינה. בבדיקה שלנו עולה שהיא נמצאת תחת חברת בת של חברה גדולה, קרן כלכלית, שמי בפיקוח של מי? פיקוח של עלי חמינאי, מנהיג איראן.
The actual containers where these chemicals were being held were owned by a company that's a subsidiary of a company that is owned by the leader of the Iranian regime, the supreme leader Ali Khamenei. So let's put all the pieces together here. The Chinese Communist Party, who purchases 90% of Iranian's oil exports, fueling the Iranian regime with their billions and billions of dollars in oil purchases, is also providing critical chemicals, critical material to the Iranians for their ballistic missile program. It's interesting that right after the explosion happened, the Chinese Foreign Ministry put out a statement in the Global Times, which is a news outlet that is owned by the Chinese Communist Party. The headline reads, China expresses deep condolences and sympathy following deadly explosion at Iran's Shahid Rajaei port. And buried in this statement, we read the following. After the explosion, the Chinese embassy in Iran and the consulate general in Bandar Abbas promptly communicated with local Iranian authorities to verify the situation, including checking on the injury status of Chinese nationals and requesting that the local authorities make every effort to provide medical treatment and ensure the safety of the lives and property of Chinese nationals. Now, let's remember that this explosion took place in the Shahid Rajaei port, in an area that is controlled by the Iranian military and is closed off to non-military purposes. Why would there be Chinese nationals and their property in an area that is controlled by the Iranian military? This whole story should make every American realize what's really going on between the Chinese Communist Party and the Iranian regime. On the day that this explosion took place, the Iranians and the Americans are right in the middle of these nuclear talks, negotiating for some sort of new deal to prevent Iran from ever achieving a nuclear weapon. And in the middle of all of this, we have an explosion at an Iranian military port where the material that explodes is chemicals provided by the Chinese Communist Party to the Iranians to help them build their ballistic missile program. Chinese Communist Communist Party considers itself at war with the United States. It is the existential threat to the U.S. It is the United States' mortal enemy. In Iran, every morning at school, all the children have to recite the words, "Death to America" and "Death to Israel." So these two regimes, the Chinese Communist Party regime and the Iranian regime, who both are sworn enemies of the United States, are working together to beef up Iran's ballistic missile capabilities. And those are the chemicals that exploded in this port. And this should be a warning to everyone about the relationship between these two countries. So it shouldn't surprise us at all that not only the Chinese, but the Russians, who are also close allies of the Chinese, expressed their condolences. As we see a headline in Reuters, Putin offers Iran Russian help after blast at Iranian port of Bandar Abbas, the Kremlin says. Now, it also makes sense that the Russians and the Chinese would want to be involved in investigating the mess and cleaning it up, because they would want to be involved in covering up what actually exploded at this port. So these are very important facts to understand about the real situation here. This wasn't just some random explosion. We don't know how it happened. It was not an airstrike. I see people on the internet saying that the Israelis committed some sort of airstrike. It was not an airstrike. Witnesses saw things burst into flames there. But regardless of how the fire started and how the explosion happened, the fact that what exploded was chemicals that are critical to ballistic missiles that were shipped to Iran from the Chinese Communist Party, and that the Chinese expressed concern about Chinese nationals who would have been in the area, and the area was controlled by the Iranian regime and their military, we should really know what's going on.